Welcome to the Normalizing Average podcast. Join us as we dive into the stories behind the people who have overcome setbacks to achieve success, celebrating the average moments on the path to extraordinary results. Let's go.
We are back, Normalizing Average. This is just talking with Amy and Eve. Just chatting.
Yeah, and we're gonna, I'm trying to think of a tagline we could have for this. Like, nuggets is already taken and doesn't flow.
Yeah. It's just like Amy and Eve talking about
talking about whatever. So I think we talked about a couple things that we want to cover. Maybe we can start with introverts and extroverts and the spectrum that we all find ourselves on.
Yeah. This was a topic that I brought up because I was just reading an article lately about how, which led me in a process of thinking about introversion and extroversion, but an article about how sometimes, so we know that, and I think it's been proven enough in enough studies, and there's enough research that social contact is good for our health and our well-being, like even our actual health as well as our emotional health and our mental health. But is there too much, Amy?
Yeah, I mean,
the question of the
I've seen it. I've been through it. Yeah, so I could, yeah.
Let me look at my notes because there actually was an answer. So this was a study done out of the Netherlands, and regular social contact, good, yes, but social contact, meaning like even like planned or scheduled social engagements every day, actually shows a decrease in your health.
Interesting.
Too much. Yeah.
And decrease in health in what perspective? Like a range of like immunity and sort of cardiovascular health? Like what level are we talking about?
I didn't read it deeply, but it was decrease in health and heightened mortality.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's not
from
like
too much
fear
socializing. Yeah.
We're not talking about this to put more fear in the people, but it's interesting that this is a possibility.
Yeah, so there is such thing as being too social and too much stuff. And part of the reason why is that, and this was a hypothesis, is that it leads to heightened stress. So if you have a lot going on, even if you're entertaining constantly, or if you have a lot of engagements that you're required to meet, there does come with socialization a certain amount of peer pressure and stress.
And also to keep a timeline and to like show up ready and willing to like have a conversation and on time and to be engaged.
Yeah.
I
would imagine, and that's probably even more so in our now. I feel like it's safe to say we're in post-COVID times. Maybe not safe to say. No, we're in.
I mean,
we're not free. We're getting into post-COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Where we've spent a lot of time not socializing. Yeah.
So do you think people are trying to make up for that?
I don't know. Maybe. Are you?
I definitely feel an upswing for sure in socialization, but it's also like life events that are happening, like after finishing, house building, and just there's a lot of things that are lining up to have me socialize more. So I don't know if it's a post-COVID thing or if it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
But I'm into it. But I also can relate to that stress that happens. There's some days where I'm like, I have to cancel everything because I'm just like overdid it the day before.
Yeah.
And listening to that, and also having people that understand that I think also COVID has allowed people to have that grace where like, okay, no, they have more flexibility in changing plans. And so as long as you're not flaking out all the time and overcommitting, I think it's those are key.
Yeah, undercommit.
Undercommit,
over deliver.
There you go. That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
it is. I knew you'd know.
Yeah, I know there is, like for us, there's definitely more social going on, just of majors. So family visits, travel, because we live across the country from our family. So those have all obviously like quadrupled from what they were in the past 2 years, where we wouldn't have family members coming out here to do their annual ski trip or their annual summer trip, and now they're doing it. So you have that. We have a huge family reunion because we haven't seen people in 2 years.
Yes.
So that's something that wouldn't have existed before. Yeah. Weddings.
Yeah. And I think it was called the Roaring Twenties because it was after the Spanish flu, if I'm correct on that, So I don't know if that's true, but like I think people were expecting a big increase in commitment and activities. Is there one that you typically identify with? Introvert, extrovert, or you both?
Well, I've done all the personality tests.
Of course. Of course you have.
So I know what I identify with, and that is in alignment with what I've come out as. But extrovert for sure. But here's the misconception that I kind of wanted to chat about that I think will help people is that it's not black and white. It's not like you are this or you are that. And then you have people coming out, you have Vanessa Van Ender, she's like, I'm an ambivert. So it's like, that's where, you're both. But what it really is a scale. It's a scale. If you put introvert on one end, it's actually just an extroversion scale on the big 5 personality scale. That's what like real psychologists use. But yeah, so it's just a scale of extroversion. So you could be extremely low on extroversion, or you could be extremely high. So what do you feel like you are, introvert, extrovert?
On a scale of 1 to 10, being like super extroverted being 10, introverted being a 1, I definitely would say I'm extroverted introvert at a number of like maybe like a 7. I think, if that makes sense. Like I do really get a lot of value and like boost emotionally, even like emotionally, mentally through socializing, but I do need a lot of downtime. And I almost like, in certain scenarios drain me, and certain scenarios I'm like a hell no. So I feel like I'm a 7.
A 7.
What would you put yourself on that 1 to 10?
I think I was
1 to 10 scale.
I think I was in the 80th percentile.
Oh, okay. Then I might be less then.
Yeah.
I might be less then.
A good way to know if anybody wants to guess at what they are, and most of us have a sense already of where you're at on the scale, but if you're confused, just look at where you get energy. So do you get more energy when you are alone? Is that where you recharge? Do you recharge in nature, like solo, or do you recharge with groups of people? When you are stressed, do you reach out to connect to people and to connect with your network, or do you go inward and have some alone time, like true alone time? And then from there, I think that's where you kind of get every mix in between, right? Like I personally now with age, I like socializing. I have very little interest in socializing, like say at the bar. Like I don't want to go to a bar and talk to strangers or whatever. Obviously love concerts and things like that, but I have no interest in going to like, sadly,
make friends at the bar.
Make friends, a networking group. I'm like, that is work. That's work for me. Right. But hanging out with my best friends, even just having a conversation with my mom or my husband or, that, and clients, I find I gain energy from those experiences, whereas I get an energy drain if I'm being forced to. It's like small talk.
I also feel sleep is a factor in all this too. So like, let's not rule out that, and like how everything else is functioning in your life too. But that's also comes down to the stress that you feel. So I would change my scale to probably like 50 to 55%. Out of 7.
So people can check that out. If you're wondering, introversion, extroversion, it's not black and white, of course. Nothing is. Our personality isn't. And you're on a scale somewhere in there. You can guess what it is, if it even matters. Like, doesn't even matter for you to know. But just look at yourself and where you gain energy and where you lose energy, and then lean into those things, especially in times when you need that energy. And I guess people have a lot of issues. This could be a huge issue of conflict in relationships, because if one person's highly extroverted and one person's highly introverted or very low on extroversion, then you're going to have a lot of friction there between the needs of the two people. So one person's going to need to retreat, to recharge, and to feel like themselves. And one person's going to want to probably fill the social calendar, book events. I know for us, that's like for my husband, I'm like our social event planner, because he would, and he's actually still pretty extroverted, but might also just be a guy thing, but he's like not reaching out to like make social
that's
plans. Yeah.
part of a guy thing, I think, too. Not to generalize, but from what I've witnessed.
Yeah. Very consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they're going biking or something and say, hey, you want to go biking tonight?
Yeah.
That's like guys making plans and maintaining friendships. Yeah.
But it also comes down to like the female condition of like the carrying the majority of the mental load. And that's another thing we could even get into. Like, I don't know percentages or numbers or anything about that or studies but I know that's a thing.
That's the
mental load of the ladies.
Well, that's what I looked into. And now we're digressing. We'll close off on this thought because this is mom brain. Like I looked into it because I was curious, because I noticed myself getting absent-minded, forgetting things after I had a kid, or even around the time when we were having a kid. And I'm like, is mom brain real? Because that's like, is there an actual chemical imbalance? But what I did find is that there is so much weight on the average mom or wife or housewife or whatever, like for all of these mental weight of carrying all the things of the household. So everything stays in there, which is a thing that women do, is that they'll be able to they have the capacity to basically multitask and carry all these things going on at once, whereas men are much more linear in that they'll have a project, they'll do the project from start, and then they'll finish the project. Whereas women might get halfway through the project, like dinner, and then have to run off and go chase a kid or put out a fire of some sort or call their friend or do whatever, deal with something. Whereas men get much more perturbed, I guess, when that is interrupted. They're like, so that was a tip. This is actually a tip from our marriage counselor. He's like, that's how men, if he has a project, let him finish the project. If you interject in the middle of the project, you're going to cause, annoyance, disturbance, whatever. Whereas women have a better capacity to just think through, have all these things floating around in their brain. But what it causes is mom brain, because you can't maintain 30 things at once. So at any given time, let's say, using me as an example again, I would have, my daughter Izzy had a fever yesterday, so I need to check her fever. I am monitoring what she had for breakfast. When is the next time for her snack? We're going on a trip, so I need to pack and I need to book a car for us. And then, I also am like attempting to maintain some sort of a social life and a career. So I'm going to chat with Amy and I'm going to look up our stuff for the show. And then I'm going to, so it's all these tiny little things going on. Yeah. Oh, when did I change Izzy's diaper? Like even just little stuff like that. Oh, she has a rash coming up, so I got to monitor that. Those tiny little things stay in our brains, maybe dad brains too. Like if you're whoever's probably the primary caregiver or social manager of the household. So that's mom brain. Sorry, long story short, a tangent. But that's it. It's just the mental load of a million thoughts that are going on.
Yeah.
So I guess you should, like, if somebody wants something to help with that, write it down, schedule things like,
ask for help. I know it's hard.
Ask for help. Yeah. Undo some of the mental load. Like you can put the mental load on other people, but we sometimes feel like we have to carry it. Like
or you're like, I'm the only person that can get this done or know how to do it.
Yeah.
Or it's easier just if I do it.
Yeah.
Which it can be the case, but then resentment comes with that, and overburdensome feelings that come with that. And
yeah. All right. Well,
that's our
close this one down.
Thanks for listening. This is us rambling.
That's introversion, extroversion, tied in with some mom brain, tied in with some social needs and anxiety. And if you hang out with people too much, it'll kill you, apparently. So introverts are all like,
yes, exactly, thriving. But let us know if you think you're one or the other, and if you have any more thoughts on what we've shared, let us know.
Great. All right.
Okay.
Signing off. Thanks, Amy.
Bye.